Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. So in CookieCast, it's the football podcast. We're all back together, and we're all talking football. That's what we want. That's what we need from a football podcast. We've got games from last week to review, and games for this week coming up to preview. Before we start, please do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review, and share the podcast around. That's the big one. Share the podcast. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, football podcast.
Recording in progress.
Why, yes, quite. Welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen, to the podcast that gives you all you need to know about the goings-on of Middlesbrough, Hull, and Nottingham Forest. It's another week of CookieCast's Podcast Network's football podcast. For those of you joining us on YouTube, you'll see that we're back to a full complement this week. 4 happy, smiling faces looking back at you. Myself and Messrs. Cook, Stuart, and Woodmansey. How are we this week, fellas?
Very good.
Alright. Good. Excellent, we like to hear it. So, week 37, done and dusted, in the books. We need to go through the results, as it were, and we start with Andy's adopted team of Manchester City, who took on Luton Town in a fixture that, if they win, they knew they would go back to the top of the Premier League, and it didn't take them long, as I believe they were in the league within 2 minutes. Let me just double check the old data. Yes, I believe they had scored very early on with an attack. Yes, 2 minutes, as many as 2. I believe that was the exact same number of minutes it took them to score against Real Madrid in the Champions League earlier in the week. I believe it was a ball over the top. Haaland with the strike took an unfortunate deflection off. I believe it might have been the face of the Luton defender Daika Hashioka, and just looped over the keeper into the goal. Obviously, bringing many a happy smile to all Nottingham Forest fans' faces. One of which was on the screen just then. Yes, unfortunately, Mr. Hashioka directed the ball into his own net to make it 1-0 to Manchester City. So 2 minutes in, you're thinking, oh, we could be on for a bit of a rip-roaring result here. Not really the case, as it stayed that way until the 64th minute, when Mateo Kovacic did his best attempt to scare everyone in the north stand, I want to say. He did his best net buster impression and absolutely launched it into the top bins. Keeper had absolutely no chance. What a stronker, though, to make it 2-0. 2 became 3 when Erling Haaland stuck away a penalty on the 76th minute. Luton did get a goal back. Ross Barkley popping up with one in the 81st minute to make it 3-1. But further goals from Jeremy Doku on the 87th minute and Josko Gvardiol on the 93rd minute, with 2 goals in the space of 2 games. 2 goals in the space of 2 games from Mr. Gvardiol, which is interesting as he is a defender, making it 5-1 for Manchester City in the end. You'll be shocked to hear that we all had gone for Manchester City victories. Andy had gone 2-0. Haaland and Alvarez to score, so gets a point for the result and a bonus point for the goal scorer. Matt had 2-1 Man City. Alvarez, Silva and Morris to score, so no bonus points, just the result for the win. Stu had 3-0 with Doku, Alvarez and Grealish. So gets himself a bonus point for the Doku scorer. And I had 4-0 Man City. And even though they scored 5 from 5 different goal scorers, I managed to miss every single one of them. as I had Silva, Alvarez, Bob, and De Bruyne. So no bonus points for me, just the 1 point for the win. Happy days. 1 point for me, 1 point for Matt, 2 points for Stu and Andy. Our second game of the week, we stay in the Premier League, but we move to Mr. Moore's team, where Nottingham Forest were taking on Wolverhampton Wanderers. On paper, this is probably one of Forest's better chances to get some points to further extend themselves away from the relegation zone. Was that the case, Mr. Moore?
Well, you kind of would have thought, basking in that kind of the Man City victory and trying not to think about the fact that they come to the City ground in the next couple of weeks. But I really thought that happening. Yeah, you would have thought that Forest would have kind of... I suppose they were playing at the same time, weren't they? But kind of would have kind of taken that kind of opportunity to further ourselves ahead. And apparently Forest dominated the early stages of the game. But as it is Forest's way, we decided to give Wolves a goal through Cunha. I mean, it was the Wolves keeper chucked the ball out, passed it to Cunha on the left wing. He dribbled it down the left. Omar Bamadeli was defending him, and then seemed to glitch. I don't know what was going on. Just seemed to, like when you play FIFA and your defender, you've got your defender, and then all of a sudden they like run into the stand. I mean, that's what he might as well have done, kind of thing, because the piece of skill from Cunha was not great, but he seemed to go straight past him. Ryan Yates was there, not doing a whole lot, and then he stuck it in the back of the net. So 1-0 Wolves, a bit against play. And I think kind of shocked Forest, but then they had to build back into the game. And just like in added time in the first half, corner for Forest, and then Morgan Gibbs-White popped up and headed it into the back of the net and did nothing to the Wolves fans at all, who had not been giving him a lot of shit through the first half, and apparently some very unsavoury stuff on the internet as well previously to him and his partner as well, which is a bit kind of out of order. So I think that's where possibly some of the celebration came from. Forest started the second half quite well, and that resulted about 11 minutes into the second half of Danilo getting a goal. Nice little kind of 1-2 on the edge of the box. Then it got a little bit scrappy, and then kind of bounced his way, and he kind of tucked it past their keeper for 2-1 to Forest. And you think, right, at that point, kind of keep it tight, that type of thing. No. Give away a corner. Standard, typical Forest, terrible defending. I think the keeper's view was blocked a little bit, and he basically palmed it into Cunha's path to stick it in the back of the net for 2-2, and then he decided to do the Morgan Gibbs-White celebration to the Wolves fans himself. Dick. Unfortunately, Forest pressed for the win, but it was not to be. So a point picked up, so a further point away from the relegation zone. Obviously, Luton's goal difference has taken a bit of a hammer in there, but this was probably a game where 3 points was more in order than just the one. But yeah, I think there's, attacking promise again, but yeah, 2-2 draw, not what the doctor ordered, but what we got.
Yeah, true, I would certainly agree with that. Obviously, a point's better than none, but 3 would have been more than ideal at home. But obviously, you'll take whatever points you get, I suppose. Predictions-wise, Andy had gone for a 1-0 Forest win with Wood to score, so sadly, no points there for Mr. Cook. Stuart had gone for a 1-0 Forest win with Gibbs-White to score, so 1 point for the goal scorer. I'd gone for a 2-1 Forest win so no points there. But I did have Gibbs, White, and Wood to score for Forest, and Cunha to score for Wolves. So I do manage to get bonus points for the 2 goal scorers there. Matt, however, had a 1-1 draw on this one, so gets a point for the result. Also gets a point for the Gibbs-White prediction for the goal scorer. Hwang, that he had predicted for Wolves, I don't believe got on the pitch. Or maybe he only came on for the last 20 minutes or so. So didn't start the game back. This was his first game back after a long while out with injury. No points for Andy, sadly. A point for Stu, 2 points apiece for me and Matt. Our third game of the week took us to the KCOM. It's not the KCOM. It's the MKM Stadium. I do apologise. The whole city were taking on Queen's Park Rangers, and I would imagine the Woodmansey clan were in tow.
Yeah, penultimate home game of the season, so it all feels a little bit like it's gone too quickly now, even though 6 weeks ago it probably felt like the longest season ever amidst of all them draws. But yeah, a little bit of a lighter mood around the stadium. It's coming towards the end. I think people are kind of concerned to the fact that playoffs are maybe a step too far, but they're still sort of going to give it a go if they can. So that didn't really look like it was going to be the case within the first minute as the game kicked off and QPR had a shot on target within 45 seconds. Thankfully, it was parried around the left-hand upright by the keeper. And that really might as well have been where QPR's first half ended. Because on 8 minutes, with a passing move which started with the goalkeeper, went out to the right, and then out to the left. So a bit of a solo smash from Tufan at this point. Picked it up 20 yards out to the left of the penalty area, and what can only be described as absolutely twatted it into the top right-hand corner. It was one of them goals where it went off the underside of the bar and then went into the side netting, and you just think, absolutely look the business. It was a really, really good goal. Probably the best goal we've seen in person all season, and there's been some decent ones. So yeah, and on 27 minutes, Tufan was involved again. He put the through, well, I say through ball. It's kind of like the ball came to him and he had his back to the attacking goal, but on that roughly about the halfway line. But he managed to sort of do like the round the corner pass through the centre of the pitch. Carvalho chased it down, beat the defender, and then placed it over the on-rushing Begovic, who, looks quite old now. I hadn't seen him for a long time, but I didn't realise he was their captain. The second half pretty much started like the first. QPR had a chance, headed wide, and then around 7 minutes later, Hull scored. So, free kick, partially cleared, dropped to like the front left-hand side of the penalty area, this time within the area still, and Philogene smashed it in on the half volley. 3 really good finishes, to be honest. Really, really impressed. After that, it was probably to be expected, but Hull kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit, which, would have been, don't get me wrong, 3 up is good for the goal difference, but 5 up would have been lovely for the goal difference. However, gave QPR a chance to grow into the game, and they had a chance cleared off the line from Ilias Chair, who managed to get, Allsop came to cover his front post for the first time in 6 games, and then he tried to loop it into the back left-hand corner of at the top of the goal, but thankfully, newly minted Championship Team of the Year member Jacob Greaves managed to do some covering and clear it off the line. The returning Liam Delap almost made it 4 goals on 76 minutes. Looked very sharp when he came on and just couldn't find a finish, unfortunately. But yeah, 3 goals, 3 points, Hull back up to 7th. All good.
Very nice. Nice for them to get back to winning ways after that draw against the Borough that helped neither side in their quest for the playoffs at the end of the season. We all got a point for the result on this one, as we all had varying degrees of full win. Andy had a 1-0 with Sharp to score, so no points for the goal scorer, but does get a point for the result. Stu had 1-0 with Tufan, so 2 points there. Matt had 2-0 with Philogene and Carvalho, and I had 2-0 with Tufan and Philogene. So between myself and Mr. Moore, we covered all 3 goal scorers, just in slightly different varying degrees. So 1 point for Andy from that one, 2 points for Stu, 3 points apiece for me and Mr. Moore. Our 4th game of the week, and for this particular recording, will be the 4th and final game we go through of the week, as a little bit of a look forward. Manchester City versus Real Madrid was predicted on last week's podcast, but due to scheduling conflicts, I believe that's what the business people say in it. We are having to record this earlier than the Manchester City versus Real Madrid game, sadly. So we won't be going through the details of that particular fixture on this week's podcast. We may bring it up on next week's show, depending on how vital the result is towards any sort of podcast information and business. But yeah, the last game of the week will be Ipswich Town versus Middlesbrough. And Ipswich should have taken the lead first in this game. A corner from the left-hand side. I can't remember it was round the back. I think it might have been Connor Chaplin. But he managed to get free, shake off the defender, Matt Clark, and from the edge of the, about 4 yards out, on the volley, just managed to absolutely leather the ball clean over the bar. And Ipswich were made to pay for it on the 20th minute, when Isaiah Jones played the ball out onto the right-hand side for Luke Ayling to pop up with yet another assist. I haven't actually got his stats for these, but it does seem as if he's been the assist machine at the moment, despite certain elements of the podcast thinking he's a bit of a shithouse. But he is...
when you say certain elements, surely that's at least 100% of us.
Well...
Don't tell me you're warming. Don't tell me you're warming.
He's soaring out to him. It's amazing what'll happen when a shithouse plays for your club.
Oh, well, I mean, he can't... To be fair to the lad, he can't help where he's come from, can he? I mean, he didn't ask to be signed by the one of the most disgraceful clubs in all the land. He just happened to be there. Thankfully, we got him out of that hellhole, and he's been able to actually start playing some decent football again. But yes, the cross from the right-hand side by Luke Ayling, straight onto the head of the in-form man himself, Emmanuel Latte, bulleted the header in from about just in between the penalty spot on the edge of the 6-yard box. Great header, gave the keeper no chance really, making it 1-0 to the Borough. Ipswich then should have equalised when Amari Hutchinson managed to sort of cut in from the right hand side and just curl one just over the top of the bar a little bit later after that. But they did get the equaliser on the 30th minute when a corner was taken from the right hand side, looped all the way to the back stick, where ex-Middlesbrough player, well I say player, never actually played for the club in the 3 or 4 months that he was contracted to the team, but Massimo Luongo was making the run around the back. Hit it first time on the volley again. Senny Dieng absolutely no chance with the effort to make it 1-1. The game kind of petered out a little bit from there. There was a couple of chances. Sarmiento hit the post just before the end of the first half for Ipswich. One of those ones where he was sort of in a bit of a 50-50 race to the ball between him and the keeper, just managed to get his toe on it just before the keeper came out. The ball just sort of trickled towards the post where everyone was just going, but it did hit the post and came out. There was a couple more chances for either side before the end of the game. A good block from Lucas Engel to deny, I think it was Hutchinson again. Seny Dieng made a good save. I can't remember who the effort was from, but it was the one where they'd cut into the box and tried to work the goalkeeper. Great save. And then there was two efforts where Borough probably should have won it. Two great saves from Hladky in the Ipswich goal. One was from Isaiah Jones, and there was a bullet header from Matt Clark towards the end, where it was just one of those ones where if you'd have headed it anywhere else other than the place did, it would have been a certain goal, but the keeper's just managed to just throw his hand up and just tip it over the bar to keep it at 1-1. And that's how it stayed. So 1-1 draw for Ipswich and Borough. A point that did actually take Ipswich back to the top of the Championship after the two ridiculous results where Leicester lost at Plymouth on the Friday night, and earlier in the day, Leeds, who hadn't lost at home all season, managed to lose 1-0 to Blackburn. So that point for Ipswich was enough to take them back top of the league. But it's almost as if none of the three teams that are up there want automatic promotion, so much so that them all being shite has basically brought Southampton back into the picture. So if they can win their two games in hand, they'll go level on points with both Leeds and Leicester. And Leicester have got a game in hand on the other teams around them, but it's certainly making it interesting in the automatic promotion race, shall we say. Predictions-wise on the podcast, Stuart gone for a 1-0 Ipswich win with Morsey to score. Sadly, he went for the wrong Borough old boy there, so no points for Mr. Woodmansey. I'd gone for a 2-1 Ipswich win. I'd gone for Morsey as well, wrong old boy. Connor Chaplin, I did go for Latte Laugh to score for the Borough though, so I do manage to bag myself a bonus point for that. Andy had gone 1-0 Borough and Latte Laugh to score, so gets himself a bonus point there. Matt, however, had gone for a 1-1 draw. 2 points. Sadly, Nathan Broadhead didn't score for Ipswich, but Latte Laugh did for the Borough. So another bonus point there. So 3 points to Mr. Moore, which means that for the week, Andy, 4 points from 4 games. Stu, 5 points from 4 games. Me, 7 points from 4 games. But he's done it again, taking another week with a whopping 9 points from 4 games. Mr. Matthew Moore, well done to you, Squire. Before we go into the week 38 fixtures, I don't know if you wanted to sort of go through the Championship team of the season. Seems like you'd brought it up with the fact that Jacob Greaves had been put in the team.
I don't know the full team. I can tell you that Liam Rossini was nominated for manager of the season. Obviously didn't win because any category of that ilk that's got Kieran McKenna in it this year, I think, as we maybe even mentioned between us, that was never going to happen. Yeah, he did. Kieran McKenna won that. I didn't actually
I know that Crescencio Somerville won the player of the season, which I think is fair enough. Obviously, leads towards the top. He has been one of the better players. I'll just quickly run through the.
It's heavy.
Yeah, I'll just run through the rest of the team. So Hermansen in goal for Leicester. Couldn't tell you anything about him. I thought the one position that Leicester have been cycling through a little bit this season was the goalkeeper, actually. So I'm a bit surprised by that. Even though Ipswich are top of the league, one player in the team of the season seems a bit harsh for me. Leif Davis, though, is that player and does have an absolute boatload of assists this season. Jacob Greaves, alongside Ethan Ampadu, who has played half the season at holding midfield, so not entirely sure how he's made it into the team of the season as a central defender. But there we go. Kyle Walker-Peters is the right back. 2 holding midfielders, Gabriel Sarra from Norwich, Keenan Dewsbury Hall from Leicester. Then you've got the player of the season, Somerville as the left winger. Sammy Smodick's top goal scorer in as the attacking midfielder. Morgan Whittaker, who's had an unbelievable season for Plymouth, if they, regardless of if they stay up or go down, I'll be amazed if he's still at Plymouth next season, because he must have like 18 for the season for a team that's towards the bottom of the league. And Jorginho Ruter up top as the striker. Probably a couple of questionable ones there for me. Like I said, Ampadu as a central defender. I think I was speaking to a Leeds fan to say he has been playing a lot of the season as centre half, but was primarily assigned as a defensive midfielder, so not quite sure on that one. Sarah for Norwich. They're obviously, with them only being in and around the players, they have, to be fair, they have spread the teams out a little bit more for the teams that were actually in the division this season. I think last season's team of the season was very, very Burnley and Sheffield United heavy, with obviously Tudor up on top. But yeah, interesting stuff. Nice to see one of our teams represented again in the team of the season. So yes, so that was done earlier. Oh, sorry, late on last week. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games to bring you with week 38's fixtures. So before we bring you the first of which is Watford versus Hull City, we will just step away for a moment just to recompose ourselves, and then we'll get right into it. So don't touch that dial. We'll be right back in just a few seconds. And just like that, we're back at it. So, week 38's fixtures get kicked off with Watford versus Hull City. Obviously, Mr. Woodmansey's team will give his prediction last. So just before we go into the predictions, as it stands, Hull find themselves 6 points adrift of the playoffs, with a game in hand, which they could cut it to 3 points, obviously, if they were able to win that game in hand. But 6 points adrift, 9 points to play for. Unfortunately, I can only see them getting a point out of this one, as Watford seem to have a pretty decent record. I know they lost against Southampton at the weekend, but they had drawn the 4 games in a row prior to that. And I think this one will be much the same. I've gone for a 2-2 draw here. Going for goals each for Dennis and... don't really know why I've gone for this guy, as I definitely can't pronounce his name. Shakvertedzi. And then a goal each for Tufan and Carvalho for Hull. Matt, what have you got down for Watford versus Hull?
I've also gone for Hull to get just the point from this game, but I've just gone for a 1-1 draw. Gone for Dennis and Philogene.
You just wanted to think of the possibility of Emmanuel Dennis scoring a goal, didn't you?
Yeah, just to see it. It would be nice.
Andy?
I've got a 1-0 Hull win. I've got the Dilapidator to score.
As Mr. Woodmansey alluded to, did return to the team this weekend. Go on, Stu, how do you see Watford versus your boys playing out?
Well, we owe them one, because we lost at home to a really shitty goal from near the halfway line, if you guys can remember that far back.
I do remember.
And we absolutely need to win to stay in the playoff hunt. So, of course, that means that we'll draw 1-1. Between you guys, you've picked out different bits of my own prediction, because Matt had the 1-1 score. You both had Dennis to score for Watford, which is what I've got, because I went for technically podcast old boy rule. And then Andy picked my Hull goal scorer, so I've got Delap.
Isn't that lovely? That we all sort of agree, but kind of not, in a different way.
We've synchronised.
Yeah, very nice. Our second game of the week is an FA Cup semi-final, where Andy's adopted team of Manchester City take on Chelsea, fresh off the back of them absolutely spanking Everton 6-0, which again, I would assume, brought rather the smile to Nottingham Forest fans' faces all across the land, one of which is on your screen right now. Obviously, it's Mr. Cook's team, so he will give his prediction last. I've gone for a 2-1 Manchester City win here. A goal each for Silva and Doku, with the man of the moment, Cole Palmer, to score for Chelsea. Matt, what have you got down for Man City Chelsea?
I've gone for a 2-1 Man City win with Haaland and Foden. And like yourself, I've gone for an old boy rule, Cole Palmer to score for Chelsea. Bickering with all of his team this time to take the penalty or something like that.
Stu?
Very simply, a 1-0 Manchester City with Foden. I wouldn't be surprised if that ended up being after extra time, to be honest, but obviously I know we're only working on 90 minutes. Can't see it being a high-scoring affair.
It's one of those. I've put the Man City 2-1 down. I don't know if they can own. So obviously they're still in with a chance of winning the league, still in with a chance of winning the Champions League. As at time of recording, obviously, by the time this game comes around, they may have been dumped out by Madrid. But if Pep feels they can only really sort of fully concentrate on 2 competitions rather than all 3, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the one that he takes his eye off the ball in. Personally, so there is a part of it that does think that Chelsea might win this, but I am going with the Man City 2-1 win. Go on, Andy. What do you think will happen for your latest team?
2-0. I've gone with the Man City double for me, Haaland and Alvarez.
Haaland and Alvarez. Very nice indeed. Our third game of the week takes us to Sunday, where Everton, fresh off the back of their 6-0 spanking, will take on Nottingham Forest in a game televised live by Sky Sports and all their good deeds that they've done for football ever since it was created in 1992. Obviously, it's Mr. Moore's team, therefore he will go last. We'll go to Andy, actually. What have you got for Everton versus Forest?
A lot of stuff similar to last week. I think a lot of teams just want to get that, to secure a win. So I've got a 1-0 Forest win, and as it is week in, week out, I have got Wood.
Very nice. Stu?
I want this to have a level of poetic justice to it, in the respect of, I want it to be the week that Everton get declined their appeal and then Forest beat them 1-0 just to really rub it in. So I've got Forest to win 1-0 with Hudson-Odoi.
Whilst I would agree in that I would like to see a Forest win, something about it, just the fact that they've just been pummeled 6-0, whilst good for Forest in the league standings, I think might work in the opposite way regarding sort of Dyche pissed off, wants a bit of a sort of a performance. He's going to be absolutely frothing at the mouth with his worm sort of juice and stuff that's kicking around in there. The gravel that he's taken on for his huskiness. But regardless of that, I don't think they're going to keep a clean sheet because their team is horrendously bad. I've gone for a 2-2 draw on this one. He missed the game last night. I don't know why. I believe he had a hamstring injury or something like that. But I've gone for Calvert-Lewin to come back in and get a goal. And the old boy rule is indeed in effect. So Joe Garner to score for Everton. And then I've gone for the old double-barreled double act yet again. A goal apiece for Gibbs White and Hudson-Odoi. For me, what did you see playing out, Mr. Moore?
Like, kind of similar to like what you said there, like the 6-1 I think if it was any other team, I think, oh yeah, they got beaten 6-1. They're there for, like, Forest could pile another load on them this game. So if it was like Luton or Sheffield United or even Burnley, I think it would have been that. But you know what they're like, and I suppose technically Deitch is an old boy as well. He's from Nottingham and that type of thing. So I can't imagine that they'll be. Can't imagine that Everton will be playing expansive football on Sunday. Super Sunday it will not be, I wouldn't have thought.
Would we be better off predicting the under on the yellow card? Is that what you're saying, Matt?
Pardon?
Would we be better off predicting the under-over on the yellow cards? Is that what you're saying?
God, yeah, definitely. I just think ball spends on the floor, whatever the under is, take that. So I've gone optimistic, and this is optimistic. I've gone for a 1-1 draw. I've gone Calvert-Lewin for Everton, tall boy. Obviously, Everton will definitely, Forest defence will be peppered with crosses and throw-ins and every kind of prehistoric version of football you can think of in this game. And I'm not sure whether it's old boy rule or not, but I was sure Elanga has played for Everton at some point. So I've gone Elanga to score for Forest.
Off the top of my head, I don't think so, unless he had like a loan spell. Or
That's what I thought, but maybe I've got it.
As far as I was aware, he was just Man United. So from what you were saying there, obviously saying a lot of long balls and stuff like that, so you're thinking there's a possibility that Monday could see an awful lot of people ringing in sick in the Nottingham area with neck strain and stuff like that. Yeah.
Possibly a bit of
I'd say it'd be on Merseyside as well, but I'm pretty sure, we don't really need to say it, do we? People don't really tend to ring in sick on Merseyside. We'll move on. Our next game of the week sees my lot Middlesbrough taking on those filthy set from West Yorkshire, Leeds United. Obviously, Leeds desperately in need of the points to kickstart their automatic promotion push. Middlesbrough at this point will potentially, well, they definitely will. They will know whether or not they are still in the hunt for the playoffs. Any sort of positive result for Norwich on Saturday will put them out of the race for the playoffs. So this could very much be a dead rubber by the time it comes around for Borough. Obviously, it's my team, so I will give my prediction last. Let's go to. I was going to say Andy, but I always like Andy's predictions when it comes to Leeds because they're normally hefty, shall we say. So we'll save Andy's for second to last. Matt, what have you got down for Middlesbrough versus Leeds?
I've gone for a 1-1 draw.
Goal scorers?
Latte Laugh. And
do I even need to guess who the Leeds goal scorer is?
Yeah. I've gone for Bamford just to confirm what you probably thought.
Stu?
Well, I'm not sure how well this will come through on the camera, but we'll try it anyway. So, mine's very, very, very similar to Matt, but Matt obviously made a slight pronunciation error as he said it. So I have got Borough 1, Leeds 1 with Latte Laugh and Bumford.
So that, for anyone who wasn't paying attention, is a complete and utter agreement. I couldn't think of the word there. Yes, they've both gone for exactly the same prediction.
It's that age-old thing of there's a striker that's had a little bit of form and now he's massively out of form, and then he's playing one of our teams. So pick him.
This is the thing that's making me think he's almost certainly nailed on to score, is the fact that he doesn't seem to have scored for absolutely ages.
He missed from 2 yards. He put it over the bar from 2 yards against us and then got taken off. So
it's just it's that thing as well where it's so unlikely that he doesn't play any part in the game. Like, I'll be amazed if he doesn't start. Let's put it that way. Right, it's the moment we've all been waiting for. What has Mr. Cook put?
I think you've bigged it up too much, and I feel on the spot at this point in time to perform, and I think we all know how that goes. I've gone simple. I've gone down the line. I've changed this prediction 3 times due to Middlesbrough not being able to find anyone to play for them. Just simple, easy, 5-0 to the Borough. And honestly, there would have been more if there was actually people to pick. So I've got 3 for Latte Laugh. I've got 1 for Silvera. And as it seems to come up every week, and I think I'd like to put my stamp of approval on it, I think from now on, this player should be referred to as Bar Laser, because that's the cooler version. 1 for Bar Laser.
Interesting. So, I have been to a Middlesbrough Leeds game on an evening where a hat-trick has been scored. It was by Patrick Bamford for Middlesbrough. So let's hope we don't have a repeat of that particular scenario.
No, he can score 3 goals for Middlesbrough again. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah, I'd certainly take that. Yeah, actually. Yeah, you're right. I have gone down a similar road to yourself and Mr. Moore. I've gone for a 2-2 draw. Part of that is because I think that Norwich probably will get the required points that they need to put Borough out of the race. So the atmosphere will be very much lower than it probably could have been had Borough still had something to play for. But regardless, Borough fans aren't going to be wanting to be giving Leeds any freebies or anything like that. So the idea that Borough would just give up on this one because there's nothing to play for, you are very much mistaken. So yeah, 2 apiece. I've gone for a goal each for Latte Laugh and Azaz for the Borough. And then he's on my prediction as well. Old Paddy Bum Bum, Patrick Bamford to score for Leeds, along with Crescencio Somerville to get the other one. He's one of those players that I just feel like even if he's not playing well, he's the sort of guy who Borough will clear one straight with his left knacker and it'll just rebound into the goal or something like that. Our final game of the week is the rearranged fixture from a couple of weeks back when Coventry City were in FA Cup action. And they are actually in FA Cup action yet again this weekend coming, where they will play Manchester United, the winner of which will go to the final to play either Man City or Chelsea. But this is the rearranged fixture from earlier in the season. It's Coventry City versus Hull City. Both teams still vying for a space in the playoffs. By the time this one rolls around, they certainly won't be out of it because they have 4 games left to play as opposed to everyone else's 3. But the picture may have changed slightly, shall we say, when this game rolls around next Wednesday. It's Mr. Woodmansey's team. He will give his prediction last. I've gone for a 2-1 away win. I've gone for Haji Wright to score for Coventry, and then Philogene and Omer to score for Hull. Matt, what have we got down for Coventry versus Hull?
I've gone for a 2-2 draw. 2-2 draw.
Goal scorers?
Sims, because I like the cakes. Eccles, and then Philogene and Delap.
Andy?
2-0 to Hull. I've gone Delap, and I'm going to keep picking him until he scores. Sharp.
sadly, I feel that Mr. Sharp's time at Hull is destined to end fruitless.
Yeah.
Would it be wrong to say that it's probably unlikely that his time gets extended past the end of the season?
I don't think he'll stay. I don't think they'll ask him to stay, but he is at least getting appearances in the last few games. He has come on. So, I don't know. It's at the end of the day, it's the all-time leading goal scorer in the Championship. If he gets a clean-cut chance, he'll put one away, but it's just, you can see from looking at him, like a lot of Billy Sharp's career goals for me, from memory, have been chasing a ball down and smashing it in the net. And I think he's possibly lost, he hasn't lost his touch, but he's lost a yard or two, so I think that's probably what's hindering him somewhat. Obviously, he had a lovely old time in America for a little bit as well, so not saying that's definitely slowed him down, but I can't say that has sharpened him as, I mean, it was the old phrase, is it steel sharpens steel or iron sharpens iron or something like that?
Iron sharpens iron.
But I'm not sure what cheesemakers sharpens.
Well, hang on a second. Well, that technically would make sense, because he did play for Scunthorpe, so...
I know, I had to wash my mouth out a little bit when he signed. But yeah, as you said, it could be looking a little bit more ropey by the time this rolls around. But I have gone for a 1-0 Hull win. And purely because he seems to be hitting all kinds of goal scoring form at the moment. I've gone for Carvalho. And I did like your Omo prediction though, because that guy has been awesome. Like he's completely overdue a goal. He's ran the last two games that he's been in for sure, and he's had about 4 or 5 shots in the last 2 games saved, hit the post twice. It's like he's not shy for definite, but he's apparently his nickname is the Turkish Messi.
Well, to be fair, I liked what I saw of him against the Borough. He looked like he was very much in the sort of in the running for one of the players of the game. That sort of, I can see why he's nicknamed the Turkish Messi, because he's got that sort of low centre of gravity, that sharp turning circle and stuff like that. I don't know why, but I was convinced they'd just re-signed that Lazar Markovic on loan again, because he just looks very much like him. But obviously, given the fact that he can actually play, he has turned out to be 10 times the player of Mr. Markovic from his previous spell at your club. But yeah, I'd like to think he can get before the end of the season.
For all of the pomp and circumstance that the January transfer window brought to Hull, he was probably a bit more lower key just because people didn't really know who he was. You can't argue obviously the fact that Carvalho's brought goals and all the rest of it, but Omo is low key, the signing of that window for me. His performances are just good. He's consistent all the time.
Do you have any odds for the games in question?
I do indeed. Now, obviously, because Hull play twice, these odds are given only on the Watford Hull, Everton Forest and Middlesbrough Leeds games. But yes, I did do this a little earlier. So, if the worst should happen and all 3 of our teams were to lose, that will give you odds of 8.5 to 1. If the best should happen and all 3 of our teams win, that gives you odds of just over 37 to 1. So I'm not saying it's unlikely this weekend, lads, but William Hill doesn't appear to favour our 3 as a combo particularly. However, the draw is just a little bit further out of the question at just shy of 42 to 1. I think 3 draws are doable, probably more doable than 3 wins if I'm honest, but yet the odds don't seem to reflect that. So, yeah, we shall see. But yeah, if all 3 teams match their result, regardless of whatever happens, then at least we have a little win somewhere.
Very much so. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's another week in the books, done and dusted. Thank you, as always, to these three wonderful gentlemen for joining me to go through the details of their teams, the ins, the outs, the ups, the downs. Join us again next week, where we'll break down all those results. I'll probably have a little cry because Borough are definitely out in the playoff race. Stu might be on cloud 9 because Hull are very much back in the playoff race. But you never know. And there's still too many games left in the Premier League season, so Matt will probably just be as indifferent as he always is. So. Yes, join us again next week, where we'll do it all over again. Until then, take care of yourselves, look after each other. We'll see you in a week's time. So bye for now.
So there you go, what do you think to that? All those weeks of games gone. Last week's games gone, obviously. This week's games to come. Before you leave us, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review, and check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we've got social media links and an email button, and that way you can get in touch with us. That's it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to these grumpy old men talk about football. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe.